All right, look, it's in black and white because I gave it a thumbs down. Remember. Oh God, take a drink every time she yells Sharon. Actually, don't do that. You'll die. Oh, see, it says Cheryl. It says Cheryl on the wall. That makes it all okay. So glad they gave us that fan service. So this movie is really a Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3 in one package. It sure tries to be, yeah. They even try to make Rose look like Heather. That's a lot of traffic for being in the middle of the night. Sean Bean's walking across an empty street. They digitally comped all those cars. That's interesting. I didn't even notice. They did a good job there.
Silent Hill!
Silent Hill! Have you ever heard someone talk in their sleep? They are never that coherent.
She said it again.
I know.
I know, it's weird how she can talk like that in her sleep and be totally coherent. The use of Silent Hill music in this movie is interesting. They usually make pretty good choices as for where to use them, you know what I mean? I do like the way they use Wounded War song later on. That's good running music. I kind of like the dreamlike quality of that shot. Like, visually this movie looks really good. It's just kind of a all style and no substance. They're subtitling the little dumb meows they're doing. I have subtitles turned on, or captioning turned on, and they didn't put the little meows on the screen. I noticed. They're like, we're just gonna pretend that didn't happen. In your restless dreams, you see that town, Silent Hill. You're always screaming it in your sleep, so I'm going to take you there. Why'd he name the girl Sharon instead of Cheryl? I know. I think he's trying to acknowledge that it's not directly based on the games or something, but it is kind of weird. Oh, Sharon sounds more French. Interesting. It's a little strange that they use the music straight from the games rather than doing some kind of remix or something, but they do use it well. Silent Evil is saying he doesn't like the music from the games being in the movie. I think they used it well. I think using it straight from the games was a little bit lazy. I don't know why we need all the Christian symbolism in this movie. She left without telling her husband. That's kind of shitty. I guess maybe I kind of understand why she did it, but he's looking at her computer now and looking at her search history. Silent Hill, West Virginia. I always figured Silent Hill was in the, near Maine, but what do I know? I only played the games. Dina looks like she's regretting this already with barely started. I was regretting this before I even started playing the movie. Weird that they had Sybil wear leather pants. They look leather in the game. I guess they're supposed to be, but I always assumed that was just because, everything looks plasticky in old FMV videos. But maybe she is meant to be wearing leather pants in the games, but that's still an odd choice. And I don't know why they didn't have her wearing a more, traditional police officer uniform.
I'm not giving up on her, Chris. I'm not.
Have you actually read the websites, Rose?
Yes, Chris. I read them.
The air is toxic. It's fucking ash in the air. You're both gonna die. It can't be good for your lungs inhaling all that ash. Yeah, I can't think of her name right now, but she's a good actor. The girl who played Sharon. I almost said Sharon. Sound like Randy Marsh. Sharon.
Sharon.
Sybil actually pulls them over, and in the game, Harry just saw her drive by, and then she passes him, and then when he passes her, she's gone and just her bike is there. Because she disappeared into Silent Hill without her bike. Oh, she can't even turn the radio off. I was like, just turn it off, but it turned out she was. Now she's unconscious. Now she's waking up. It's not snow, it's ash. I've said it before, but I actually don't really mind this change in the movie. I just wish it had stayed in the movie. Also, it kind of doesn't make sense later on when you find out what happened. There's kind of not, that wouldn't really cause ash to rain down on the town. If it was only in like this version of the town, that would have been fine. Could just be considered to be symbolic, but it's in the actual town too. Did it make it into the games, or did people just start thinking it was always Ash? I want to say that they called it Ash in Origins and Homecoming. I know with Origins the fog was smoke. I don't remember if either of them specifically called the snow Ash. I seem to recall that it looked a lot more like Ash in Homecoming. I kind of like the mannequins. That's a nice touch. Sharon! Press X to Sharon. Kind of reminds me of Shattered Memories. Oh, you're right. I forgot that that was in Shattered Memories. Yeah, press X to Cheryl. That's good use of that music. I don't remember the names of every tune off the top of my head. Some of them I do, not all of them. Kind of like that camera angle. That makes me think of the first movie a little bit. That's a good camera angle too. This bit is cool when she's being shot through the little hole in the thing. This movie was too much effort that's misplaced and doesn't really amount to meaning much. That's a good way of putting it. That's kind of how I've always felt.
Sharon?
Sharon? Sharon?
Why'd you take his pants off? Sharon? Why'd you take his pants off?
That's pretty cool. God, if only Harry was in this. If only Harry was in this, this scene would have been so cool, but it has this weird feeling of like, it's not quite Silent Hill because we don't know who the fuck this character is. You know what I mean? Movie would have been better if they were original Silent Hill movies. They changed so much, they might as well. Yeah, I think I said this in my original video, but I didn't mind that. I've read some fan fictions where people just like put their own characters in Silent Hill with their own monsters and their own stories, and that, you know, something like that would have been interesting. I much prefer that over taking the original story and then just like altering it to the point where it's almost unrecognizable except the fan service. Sharon? I want to replace every instance of her saying Sharon with Aunt Randy Marsh saying it. Sharon? Never got why the mother decided to bring her kid to Silent Hill when she was given literally every reason not to bring her kid there. I know. That's right out of the game. You find a gurney with a body on it. I imagine the layout's really different here. She's turning a lot more corners than Harry did, I think. That's shot for shot from the game right there. That should have been a corpse, though, not like a living guy being tortured. Do like the way they handled the Grey Children. They're not exactly like in the game, but you can tell they're supposed to be them, and they just added some, you know, a little flair to them. Also, they're all being played by one person, and they just, like, shot them a bunch of times doing different things and composited them all. So I thought that was kind of interesting. They sound like children crying. That's very creepy. Now they're all burning up. That's some pretty cool symbolism. I think that's like the only enemy for the first Silent Hill game that's in the Silent Hill movie. The Grey Children are done well. I like the Scream sort of approach to their faces. Yeah, that is pretty cool. Like, they're not exactly like they were in the game, but you can tell that they're supposed to be them, and they're not, you know, changed to the point where they're unrecognizable or anything. And if they'd taken that approach to more things in this movie, it would have been a lot better. Silent Hill 1's monsters are too cartoony to be on screen. I don't agree. Like, come on, there's dogs. Like, dogs are too cartoony. Dogs worked fine in the Resident Evil movie. Lisa's role in this film bugs me the most, as she was one of my favorites in the game. Using her as fan service to me is like more offensive than just leaving her out. Something about them like just throwing us that little bone, it bugs me. There's a lot of bits like that in the movie where they just throw us a little bone instead of just being accurate, and I don't know. Get it? They're playing Ring of Fire, huh? Love how the Ring of Fire plays too makes the town feel old to me, as well as the obvious reason. I was just being snarky. It's a fine choice. It's clearly meant to be kind of funny, but also like, I don't know. It does feel kind of random that they just stuck one real life song in the movie. These are some good shots here. They really spend a lot of time showing you that cavern that you could fall into.
I'm looking for my daughter. I'm afraid that she's been hurt.
We've all lost our children.
I'll never understand why they changed Dahlia the way they did. But then they added Christabella, who almost could have been Dahlia with some minor changes. Just, why? Yeah, they should have just had Sean Bean play Harry like they did in the sequel. According to Gans, he always thought the snow in the games was ash. Shows how much he paid attention because they specifically call it snow. Jesus Christ. See, that outfit looks a lot like the outfit that Heather wore in Silent Hill 3. It's kind of altered so it looks a little more like something a mom would wear, but you know, the skirt, the boots. And of course she's blonde like Heather. She looks like Heather. She looks like a mom version of Heather. If Heather grew up and became a mom, that's how she looks.
I made a mistake. Sharon's lost, but I think I know where she is.
Hey, Christopher, I kind of fucked up. I guess I can see why Sybil assumes the worst here.
I don't think you understand. There's something weird.
I'm not sure about her immediately arresting her, though.
If you really cared about that little girl, you wouldn't have sped off.
Okay, right. I had a brain fart there. She's arresting her for speeding off, not necessarily for what she may or may not have done to Sharon. I thought she was arresting her for child abuse.
You're bleeding.
Cracked my head on the road pretty good when my bike went down.
Yeah, they handled Sybil fairly well, again, up until the end anyway.
And it looks like we'll be hiking back to Bram's.
What?
Also, the leather pants paired with the leather jacket gives her a weird kind of S&M vibe, which it's a little weird for a cop. Even removing the whole Ash stuff, what was the mother going to expect when they went to Silent Hill without getting thrown into the fog world? Yeah. Like, even if it was, like, there was no, like, mystical stuff going on, what was her plan there? If nothing else, it's still an abandoned town where ash rains down all the time. Silent Hill is a barren wasteland of fire and ash. The very air you breathe is poisonous fume. Yeah. I do think these shots where they're looking down into the cavern are pretty cool. You don't get to see it that well in the game, so they kind of took full advantage of the medium. One does not just walk into Silent Hill. Well, you do walk in, you just don't walk out.
Shoot it!
I do like this bit. This is pretty cool, this scene in general. Can't wait to see that creature again in the Silent Hill 2 movie. Yeah, Sybil gunning down the straitjacket monster kind of gives me like crossover vibes. It's kind of neat. Just, you know, if I shut my brain off for a minute. Was the mother just going to go, see, there's nothing in this abandoned town. We're just going to go home now and the entire nightmare problem is going to go away. She might have thought that. Oh, here we go. I love this use of Wounded War song. And we cut to the map. That's sort of video game-like. Kind of get a kick out of that. Midwich Elementary School. Not a fan of Wounded War song being used in this manner. I don't know why. I thought it worked actually maybe even better here than it did in Silent Hill 4. It's kind of a high energy song with a beat, you know, and Silent Hill 4 it's just used during a conversation between two people, and
he told me to go down into the deepest part of him.
I thought it was really good running music here. They used up all the iconic music in Silent Hill. What are they going to use in Silent Hill 2? Yeah, the music and the visuals and everything else. They like threw all 4 of the first games into this movie, and then like there's nothing left to put in the sequel. Oh, sequel. The adaptation to the sequel of the game. Whatever. Quite a few things plot-wise don't make sense. Oh yeah, I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, but it's why when people try to argue, well, it's not a good adaptation, but it's a good movie anyway, I'm like, no, it's not. Fine if you like it, but don't act like there's nothing wrong with it. That's just being dishonest. Subtlety is not this movie's middle name. No, it sure isn't, and it really suffers for that. This actress's voice is so distinct. You know, it's funny. I think it was last week I was watching an episode of watching just like a random episode of Law & Order SVU that was being shown on USA, and Radha Mitchell was in it. She was kind of an ex-B of Gwyneth Paltrow. She was pretty good in it. Wasn't Christabella from Dying Inside and Dead Alive? Nope, there was just a different character with the same name. Probably coincidence. I do remember kind of liking the Sean Bean stuff, being in the same place but different dimension or whatever. I did think that was kind of neat. That's the whole, like, you know, makes it clear that Rose is in the same place but not. I did think that was kind of a neat detail. There's a little too much of it in this, but Lisa got a no-name cameo. Was Kaufman in this? He is not. I can't think of any character who's any kind of stand-in for Kaufman. I mean, they took out the whole backstory about doctors keeping Alessa alive, so they left out Kaufman and Lisa, except for her nameless cameo, as he put it. I didn't remember these pictures. That, you know what, that vaguely reminds me of the church in Silent Hill 3 with all those pictures on the wall, but this feels like more Christian. Christian symbolism is a classic go-to for a lot of directors, that's true. Grew up watching old Italian movies about witch burnings, so that explains a lot.
See the barbershop over there? Be my father's.
God, this is the guy who, he's in the fucking flashback and he hasn't aged at all. That doesn't make sense. There might be a reason for that, but it's very weird.
These were good people. Most of them.
Mostly they were good people, even though they all witnessed a fucking 7-year-old being burned alive. They're good people on both sides. Oh no, I didn't just say that. Forget I said that. I can think of a reason why he hasn't aged. Someone in continuity fucked up. They could have given a reason for him to not have aged in that time, but that would be a competent movie. Like if he were trapped in Silent Hill, then it would have made sense. Maybe it's like, you know, the whole thing about Silent Hill being purgatory, but he's outside of like the version of the town Rose is in, so it doesn't make sense. I know a lot of witch burners. They're good witch burners. I know a lot of them. I had to do a Trump impression there. That was kind of a neat shot right there. I like it when the camera films through like little holes or little, you know, between.
Sharon.
Oh god, the witch thing. Fuck. It's my least favorite aspect of this movie. Did a fair amount of patchwork and editing as this school hallway and the classrooms were filmed in different locations on a set. That's interesting. Brain suddenly remembers Vincent Price torturing and drowning a woman in Witchfinder General and remarking that since she didn't die and didn't come up for air, she was innocent. Yeah, that's kind of how witch trials went. The crying in the bathroom. First time I saw this movie, I was like, oh hey, that's in the game. That's cool. Didn't last. I also hadn't played the game in a long time when I first saw this. I remembered a lot of things being different, but I didn't remember how badly this movie misses the mark with the story changes. Gross. This does seem like something that would be in the games though, so that's kind of neat in that regard. Another example of this movie's lack of subtlety. Looking further, Alessa just ran off to cry in the toilet. It has to be that a cleaner did something YouTube doesn't like to hear. Yeah. I remember seeing a behind-the-scenes shot of this scene being filmed. It was pretty neat the way they did it. There was obviously no ceiling, and the camera went like over. Get it? There's a bird in the cage, like in the games. Uh-oh, there's the siren again. Oh yeah, it's the guy in the pyramid head suit who played the naughty janitor, isn't it? Yeah. Janitor wasn't originally in the script. Gans thought it up spontaneously while filming on the set. I can believe it. It feels like an afterthought. It was just going to be an empty toilet stall originally. That's how it should have been. Yeah, I love this transition. I'm going to stop looking at the chat and appreciate how cool this looks. Like the fog world peeling away and revealing the other world. I think that's pretty cool. Might be a bit much. It's probably not totally necessary, but I still think it's kind of cool. Oh god, this fucking monster. It's so funny seeing the behind-the-scenes shot of this guy. The legs going up over his head are fake. So he's dragging himself along and he's wearing green leggings. It looks really funny. Oh, the big roach things are like ripping all their clothes off. So they can get to their skin. That's pretty horrific. Little girl scribbling and drawing, another horror cliche. Yeah, that's why. I think that's why I laughed at it. I'm like, it didn't click right away. It just looked goofy to me. But yeah, I've seen that a million times, haven't I? Supposedly the seal of Metatron is on the wall behind Alessa in that scene. She's sitting at the desk. Oh, I don't think I ever noticed that. I love that shot where she just falls through the thing. Meanwhile, in the real world... Oh, there he is. That's a lot of fucking bugs. What the hell? He's just wading through like 2 feet of bugs. That's a cool shot. I'm going to be saying that a lot because there are a lot of really cool shots in this movie. Oh, I know that song. It's from Silent Hill 3. Oh, that was from Claudia's monologue. I knew it was somewhere in Silent Hill 3. I couldn't remember where off the top of my head. I kind of like this part where they're both in the same spot, but she's in like a different dimension and he can kind of sense that she's nearby. I think that's kind of cool. I do kind of like this bit. Sybil's kind of a badass in this movie. I kind of like that.
It's got a human face. It's Rimmer's mum.
How do you feel about the film showing the real world so much as it barely shows up in the games? I did like that moment that I just commented on. It does do it way too much, though. Do you have a problem with the dark otherworld scenes in the movie? Oh, as in they aren't that dark? Fair enough, but I don't know. If you make it too dark, you can't see what's happening. Because they have more control of the picture by filming these scenes in light, they could turn the brightness down wherever they wanted to in post. Oh, interesting. So rather than filming it in a dark setting, they just filmed it in normal light and then turned down the brightness? That's a little weird. Cinematographer wanted to do the dark otherworld scenes on film practically with the film's source light, but of course Gans won out on that. But that probably would have looked better. That's one of those shots that they actually filmed backwards. I remember that from the making of documentary I saw. It was actually kind of tense. I hate to admit it, but you have to realize that, you know, my opinion on these things has changed over time. I actually did not know Pyramid Head was going to be in this movie until he showed up, and I just lost my shit, and I actually thought it was really cool in the moment. It wasn't until later on that I thought about it, and I'm like, why the fuck was Pyramid Head in this movie? That makes no sense. But in the moment, I thought it was a cool bit of fan service. It's almost embarrassing to admit that now, but... Oh, now everything's rebuilding because it's going back to the fog world. That's kind of cool. The way they filmed it, Gans' decision was to do otherworld scenes in HD digital while the rest of the movie was 35mm film. That's interesting.
That was real? What the fuck is going on?
What the fuck is going on? That's a totally natural. That's a totally natural reaction. It just caught me off guard a little bit. So Pyramid Head is the cockroach king or something in this film? Yeah. That was an odd choice.
They used to say this place was haunted. I think they were right.
Were they? I don't know that line. It's such a silly line. They used to say this place was haunted. I think they were right. Not knocking the actor, just the writing.